world has never been fair, and it never will be. This isn't pessimism, it's realism. Accepting this truth is the very first step toward building real strength and achieving lasting success. For too long, we've been conditioned to believe that fairness rules the game, that hard work always pays off, that merit always wins, and that playing by the rules guarantees the prize. But just look around. Do you really see fairness determining who succeeds? Do you see the most ethical people always rising to the top? What we see, instead, are those who understand the game as it truly is, not as we wish it were. Since childhood, we've been told that if we try our best, life will reward us. Yet, time and again, we witness others who may seem less deserving, moving ahead faster, gaining more opportunities, and reaping better outcomes. This doesn't just spark frustration, it breeds bitterness and powerlessness. It makes us weaker. Here is where Machiavelli's insights become vital. He didn't write about how the world should work. He wrote about how it does. He understood the complexity of human nature, the power struggles that shape outcomes, and the reality that those who see the truth clearly are the ones who can navigate it most effectively. Machiavelli observed, men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. They shun danger and are greedy for profit. These words aren't cynicism, they are awareness. Awareness that gives you the ability to act wisely instead of clinging to comforting illusions. Believing too strongly in fairness creates a dangerous weakness. It makes you dependent on others' sense of justice rather than your own ability to create results. You become someone who waits to be recognized instead of someone who builds undeniable value. You turn reactive instead of proactive. This video isn't about giving up on ethics or goodness. It's about understanding why depending on fairness weakens you, and how adopting a clear-eyed, strategic approach can make you stronger, more capable, and ultimately more successful. Fairness feels good to believe in. It promises that hard work will be rewarded, that justice will always prevail, and that good behavior will be recognized. But this belief, while comforting, makes you fragile. Psychologists call this mindset an external locus of control. You place your fate in the hands of others, depending on whether opportunities are distributed fairly or whether recognition arrives when you deserve it. But when your success is tied to other people's judgment, you hand over your power. Think about how this plays out. You work hard on a project, but someone else gets the credit. You follow every rule, yet the promotion goes to someone with stronger connections. You give excellent service, but customers leave because of convenience or price. Through the lens of fairness, each situation feels crushingly unfair. But when you expect fairness, you become predictable and exploitable. Depending on fairness makes you emotionally volatile. Your mood rises and falls with how others treat you. It creates resentment when reality doesn't meet your expectations, clouding your judgment. Worst of all, it keeps you passive, waiting for recognition instead of actively building it. But this doesn't mean abandoning ethics. Being ethical still matters, for trust, for relationships, for your own integrity. What changes is your mindset. You act ethically, not because it guarantees fair treatment, but because it reflects your values. The real shift is moving from fairness dependence to capability dependence. Instead of waiting for fairness, you rely on your ability to create value, solve problems, and build relationships. Instead of expecting recognition, you build undeniable competence. Instead of asking, "Is this fair?" you ask, "How can I handle this effectively?" This change isn't comfortable. It's much easier to blame unfairness than to take responsibility. But those who make the shift gain real power, because true strength comes from the ability to succeed regardless of whether others treat you fairly. Most people operate with an idealistic view of human behavior. They expect others to be rational, loyal, grateful, and fair. But this blind faith often leads to disappointment, poor decisions, and missed opportunities. Machiavelli was not promoting cynicism when he wrote about human nature. He was offering clarity. He pointed out that people can be ungrateful, fickle, deceptive, or self-serving. Not because everyone is evil, but because under pressure, temptation, or fear, these tendencies naturally surface. Understanding this doesn't mean distrusting everyone. It means preparing yourself for the reality that self-interest often outweighs principle, especially when the stakes are high. And this awareness gives you power. When you grasp human nature, you gain a strategic advantage. You can predict behaviors, design better relationships, and avoid being blindsided. For example, people are more honest when honesty is rewarded and lies carry consequences. People are more loyal when loyalty is reciprocated and betrayal comes at a cost. People act fairly only when fairness aligns with their interests. This is not manipulation, it's wisdom. It's about creating conditions where positive behavior is encouraged and destructive behavior carries natural consequences. It also sharpens your awareness of social dynamics. You learn to see when loyalty is fading, when partnerships may turn competitive, or when trust is about to fracture. Instead of being surprised, you are prepared. By studying psychology, history, and social patterns, and by observing people in real life, you begin to recognize the deep patterns of human behavior. One truth stands out. People almost always act in what they believe to be their own self-interest, even when that belief is flawed or short-sighted. Understanding this helps you craft smarter strategies. You don't just appeal to abstract principles, you align your goals with others' motivations, making cooperation more likely while protecting yourself from betrayal. The key insight here, understanding human nature, is not about expecting the worst. It's about seeing clearly so you can make better decisions and position yourself more effectively than those blinded by idealism. When you complain about unfairness, you send a dangerous signal to others and to yourself. You reveal that you see yourself as a victim of circumstances rather than as someone capable of shaping them. This mindset invites further mistreatment and slowly erodes your strength. Complaining feels good in the moment. It offers emotional release, it draws sympathy, and it tries to shame others into behaving better. But these short-term comforts come with long-term costs. Loss of respect, diminished credibility, and a habit of victimhood. Machiavelli warned that people take revenge for small injuries but not for great ones. The lesson? Constantly voicing minor complaints makes you look weak, while decisive, strategic action in serious situations commands respect. Each time you focus on how unfairly you've been treated, you reinforce mental pathways of powerlessness. You direct energy toward what you cannot control, other people's behavior, rather than what you can control, your own response, your own growth, your own strategy. The alternative is not silence, it's strategic response. When unfairness occurs, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead ask, what does this reveal about the situation? How can I protect myself next time? What capabilities do I need to develop to handle this better? This shift transforms frustration into learning. It builds resilience and earns respect. Over time, people stop seeing you as a complainer and start seeing you as someone who adapts, someone who cannot be easily shaken. There is, of course, a difference between complaining and assertive communication. Complaining is venting without solutions. Assertive communication is direct, strategic, and outcome-focused. It sets boundaries and proposes change. The truth is simple. Complaints weaken you, while strategic responses strengthen you. One path keeps you stuck in frustration. The other path makes you stronger with every challenge. True personal power doesn't come from demanding what you think you deserve. It comes from proving what you can do. Competence, not entitlement, is what builds lasting strength and respect. Entitlement-based thinking assumes that because you've worked hard, followed the rules, or behaved morally, opportunities should naturally come your way. But this mindset creates dependency on others' recognition and judgment. Your success becomes fragile, controlled by external validation. Competence-based thinking is different. It focuses on developing skills, knowledge, and value that cannot be ignored. This kind of power is sustainable because it's built on actual ability rather than hope for fairness. Consider this example. Entitlement thinking says, I deserve that promotion, and it's unfair I didn't get it. Competence thinking says, what skills or achievements can I develop so that next time I am undeniably the best choice? Machiavelli understood this distinction well. He who builds his power on the people builds on mud. In other words, power based only on others' favor is unstable. True power must rest on your ability to deliver results that people need, regardless of whether they like you or treat you fairly. Building competence-based power means developing rare or hard-to-replace skills, continuously adapting to what the world values most, creating systems and processes that make your results repeatable and reliable, building relationships based on mutual value not shared complaints or pity. Over time, competence compounds. Every skill you develop, every problem you solve, every result you achieve strengthens your reputation and attracts new opportunities. This creates an upward spiral of growth and credibility. The mindset shift is profound. Instead of seeing unfair treatment as an insult, you see it as information. It tells you which capabilities you must strengthen so you cannot be overlooked again. And as your competence grows, so does your leadership. People naturally turn to those who consistently deliver. Respect flows to those who can create solutions, not to those who merely argue they deserve better. The insight here is clear. Competence creates sustainable power, while entitlement creates fragile dependency. When we encounter unfairness, the first reaction is often moral outrage, anger at injustice, indignation at betrayal, the burning desire to punish those responsible. These emotions are human, and sometimes they fuel necessary action, but more often they cloud judgment and weaken strategy. Strategic thinking, by contrast, is grounded in reality. It asks, what is actually happening? What motivates the people involved? What actions will give me the best long-term advantage? The problem with moral outrage is that it focuses on changing others' behavior, which is largely beyond your control. Strategic thinking shifts the focus back to what you can control: your responses, your positioning, your long-term plan. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This insight reminds us that in moments of unfairness, how you respond shapes how others perceive your strength. Emotional outbursts may feel satisfying, but they rarely change systems or outcomes. Strategic responses, however, can reshape the playing field. For example, if a colleague steals credit for your work, outrage may drive you to complain loudly. Strategy instead might lead you to document your contributions, build alliances with decision makers, and ensure your work is too visible to be stolen. If someone treats you unfairly, outrage seeks revenge. Strategy asks, how do I make this behavior costly for them while improving my own position? Strategic thinkers also think beyond the moment. They consider relationships, reputations, and opportunities yet to come. Sometimes short-term unfairness can be tolerated if it sets the stage for long-term strength. This doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means applying them intelligently. You can remain ethical and principled while choosing the tactics that serve you best. Sometimes direct confrontation is right. Sometimes withdrawal or repositioning is smarter. The distinction is simple. Moral outrage focuses on what should be. Strategic thinking focuses on what is and how to turn it into something better. The lesson: don't let emotions dictate your moves. Use strategy to protect your values, preserve your power, and create results that last. The final step in breaking free from fairness dependence is to create your own standards of success. Stop waiting for others to validate you. Stop measuring your worth by recognition, titles, or rewards that may never come. External standards are fragile. They place your motivation and self-worth in someone else's hands. If recognition doesn't arrive, if rewards are distributed unfairly, you're left feeling empty, even if your actual achievements are meaningful. Internal standards, however, give you freedom. They are built on progress, growth, and value creation. They focus on what you can control: the effort you invest, the skills you develop, the problems you solve, the impact you create. With this mindset, success is no longer a prize others allow you to have. It's something you claim for yourself through measurable growth and self-mastery. Machiavelli captured this spirit when he wrote, "He who becomes master of his own destiny is feared by all who depend on chance." When you define your own metrics for success, you stop being a prisoner of external fairness and start becoming the architect of your destiny. The benefits are powerful. Your motivation stays steady because it isn't tied to others' approval. You adapt faster because you don't wait for validation to adjust course. You build confidence through evidence of your own progress, not through applause. You develop higher standards for yourself than any external system could impose. Internal standards don't mean isolation. You still listen to feedback, you still adapt to the world, but your core sense of worth no longer depends on the unpredictable fairness of others. When you define your own success, setbacks don't break you, lack of recognition doesn't derail you, and unfair treatment no longer defines you. The ultimate transformation is this: you stop asking the world to be fair and you start becoming strong enough to thrive regardless of whether it is. Closing insight fairness is comforting to believe in, but dangerous to depend on. Machiavelli's wisdom shows us that strength comes not from expecting justice, but from building competence, strategic thinking, and self-reliance. Stop waiting for fairness. Stop complaining about unfairness. Instead, build capabilities, think strategically, and set your own standards. Because the future doesn't belong to those who wait for justice, it belongs to those strong enough to succeed without it.